dignitaries, His and Her Excellencies, Minister of OIC member countries, His and Her Excellencies, Mr. and Mrs. Ambassadors, distinguished representatives of national and international business communities, ladies and gentlemen. As the Investment Office of the Presidency of the Republic of Turkey, we're absolutely honored to welcome you all to the opening session of OIC, Organization of Islamic Countries, high-level public and private investment conference held here in Istanbul, where our hearts and souls meet hand in hand, shoulder to shoulder, in full spirit of OIC solidarity. Welcome all. Thank you. Excellencies, honorable ladies and gentlemen, this two-day conference rises on the theme Unleashing Intra-OIC Investment Opportunities, with its particular focus on investment for solidarity and development. And this conference and this purpose will be the first of its kind in terms of its content and will hopefully be held regularly, perhaps growing into a tradition. The Investment Office of Turkey is highly honored by your cordial presence here with us today and is absolutely grateful for the close cooperation extended by our conference partners, which are the OIC General Secretariat, the Islamic Development Bank Group, its subsidiaries, and other distinguished public and private key stakeholders without whose dedicated efforts this conference would not have been possible at all. The OIC will fulfill the spirit of this conference, the development based on solidarity, with its member countries, with the cordial presence of heads of states, and with more than 1,200 participants and 5 observer countries. The theme of this conference, solidarity and development, can only be achieved only if the current gap between the economies of our member countries is narrowed, perhaps narrowed through the due investments in line with sustainable social development goals and directed towards those less fortunate member countries. And this will benefit us all in the long term, and this is what the OIC stands for. It is beyond the figures, and it's on the spirit of solidarity that forms the foundation of this OIC family. It is this foundation that promises us eventually will bring the targeted economic achievements as well. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, now I would like to give the floor to Mr. Arda Armut, President of the Investment Office of Turkey. Mr. Armut, the floor is yours, sir. We'd like to thank Mr. Armut for his speech. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, now we will be honored by our visiting members' speeches, and may we kindly ask you to limit your speeches down to 5 minutes each, please. Thank you. First of all, I'd like to invite to the floor His Excellency, Mr. Ali bin Ahmed Al-Kuwari, Minister of Trade and Industry from the State of Qatar. His Excellencies, Mr. Minister, thank you for your speech. Now I'd like to give the floor to His Excellency, Mr. Halit Osaili, Minister of National Economy of the State, Palestine. His His Excellencies, Mr. Minister, thank you so much for this speech. Thank you, sir. Now I'd like to give the floor to His Excellency, Mr. Ajmal Ahmadi, the Minister of Industry and Commerce of the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan. His Excellency, Mr. Minister, thank you so much for your wonderful speech. Now I'd like to give the floor to His Excellency Mr. Abdoulaye Biochane, Minister in charge of Planning and Development of the Republic of Benin. His Excellency, Mr. Minister, thank you so much for your wonderful speech, sir. Now I'd like to give the floor to His Excellency Mr. Zubair Gilani, Minister of State, the Islamic Republic of Pakistan. His Excellency, Mr. Minister, thank you so much for this wonderful speech. Ladies and gentlemen, now I'd like to give the floor to His Excellency, Mr. Alamin Ossamani May, Minister of Economic Development and Planning, the Republic of Cameroon. His Excellency, Mr. Minister, thank you for this very informative speech, sir. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, now I'd like to give the floor to His Excellency, Mr. Mohammed Ben Shaboun, Minister of Economy, Finance and Administration Reform, the Kingdom of Morocco. His Excellency, Mr. Minister, thank you so much for this wonderful speech, sir. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, now I'd like to give the floor to His Excellency, Mr. Minister Hamrali Zoda Farooq Mahmoud, Minister of the Investment Committee of the Republic of Tajikistan. His Excellency, Mr. Minister, thank you so much for this wonderful and informative speech, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, now I'd like to invite to the floor His Excellency, Mr. Minister, Dr. Tahar Al-Juhaimi, Minister of Planning of the State of Libya. His Excellency, Mr. Minister, thank you so much for this very informative speech, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, now I'd like to give the floor to Her Excellencies, Ms. Safia Boli, Minister of National Entrepreneurship and Promoting Investments, the Republic of Mali. Her Excellencies, Ms. Minister, thank you so much for this wonderful speech. Merci beaucoup. Ladies and gentlemen, now I'd like to give the floor to His Excellency, Mr. Minister Jamal Mohammed Hassan, Minister of Planning, Investment and Economic Development, the Federal Republic of Somalia. His Excellency, Mr. Minister, thank you so much for this wonderful speech, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, now I'd like to give the floor to His Excellency, Mr. Winston Jordan, Minister of Finance of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana.
Guyana Cumhuriyeti Finans Bakanı söz veriyor.
His Excellency, Mr. Minister, thank you so much for this wonderful speech, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, now I'd like to give the floor to His Excellency, Mr. Hasan Taçoy, Minister of Economy and Energy of Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus. His Excellency, Mr. Hasan Taçoy, thank you so much for this wonderful presentation, sir. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, now may I invite to the floor His Excellency, Mr. Minister Adamu. He is the Minister of Education from the Federal Republic of Nigeria. His Excellency, Mr. Minister, thank you so much for this wonderful speech, sir. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, now we'd like to invite to the floor all our ministers of the OIC member countries to the stage for a family photo to be taken. Thank you.